All right, everyone. So welcome again to the January 2024. Oh my gosh, just realized this was 2023 on the agenda. I'm so sorry. I will change that. um, so hard to get used to being a new year. So welcome to the January 2024 Discovery and User Experience Advisory Group meeting. And we're gonna kick it off with a recap of the Aspen development that's happened since we last met, as we usually do. And then we're going to talk about the 2024 priorities. We did a plus Delta activity in our last meeting in November. So we'll look at that and talk more generally about our priorities we'd like to see in development for Aspen for the year. And then since we last met very suddenly, we now are also on the LIDA app. So we're gonna do the same thing with LIDA and talk about the development and features we'd like to see going forward. So let's kick it off first and look at the past two releases that we've had. So this past release, and if you haven't seen, we always post our release notes to our sports site. So the releases come out in a kind of a weird cycle, but basically it's about on a Wednesday about around mid-month. It gets, for if you really want to get in the weeds, the releases are pushed to test environments for those organizations that have a test environment to kick the tires around on the release, and then that comes out the first Thursday of the month, and then this is the Wednesday it comes, and then it goes to production basically like 2 Wednesdays following that. It's a weird schedule. You don't have to worry too hard about it. We'll always update you on the support site when it's come out. And now that we are on LIDA, we're including LIDA updates in those release notes as well. So this was a big one for LIDA. There is now fines payment, which was not available when we launched. Some improvements to the notification prompts. They were very aggressively prompting you to opt into notifications from the library. There's still some things, just to be very blunt, that we would like to see improved with the notifications settings in the app. But at least now the prompt to opt into notifications should be a lot less aggressive for those of you that experienced that. Previously, when users placed a hold through the app, they'd have to pick their preferred pickup location every time, and that will now just auto-populate, so you don't have to pick your location each time you place a hold. And then there's a new look for the library contact screen, which I don't think anyone's taken advantage of this yet that I've seen. But you can add links to your screen. So I don't know, I was trying to poke around to find someone that might have had this, but I couldn't find anyone. So yeah, if you go into your system settings in Aspen, we've got some documentation here. You can add menu links. So there's some documentation here on how to do that. And it's just like if you've added any menu links before, it'll be exactly the same, but there's now a drop down to select if you want those links to display in just your catalog and Aspen Discovery, just on the app, or in both. So yeah, I'd be excited to show that once anyone has given that a whirl. So I know some folks were asking, especially like, could I link out to my events and that kind of stuff? So now you can link to anything on your website through that. It would be through that more screen. And then there's 2 updates to the Aspen catalog. You can now copy messages and placards, which is kind of nice. Then I can show here. Actually, I should have to bring up that announcement catalog. And if you go into administration, I'm going to have all the placards, and it's sort of a whole situation. But so if I saw, say, this Mango Languages placard that I was like, I just want to copy this. I know, you know, some of the settings are what I would want to see, or I'm maybe, you know, I had academic search Premier and now it's complete and it'll be similar enough. I can just update that. You can now hit copy. Of course, this is a minute to load here, and it will copy over certain fields for you. Same with system messages. So something just to be careful about with your triggers can only be used on one placard. I believe it's your most recently added placard that would show up with that trigger word. So just something to keep in mind that you can't reuse those trigger words, and if you copy them, you know, you might be duplicating. Yeah, so that's kind of a nice feature. I think it probably, in my mind, would be more useful for system messages, especially if you have closings, for example. You could set up, you know, you could set up one like, okay, I'm setting up my New Year's closing, happy, and set up for another closing. This might be some ways you use it. Has anyone used either of those features yet? Hearing from anyone? Lisa asked a really good question. Are we able to make placards visible in LIDA yet? And the answer is sadly no, not yet. We don't have that update yet, but we do hope to get placards in LIDA. I think that might be coming sooner than later, and this is not based on any knowledge of the development roadmap, but more because the enhancements in this past release, including the menu links and the fines payment, is actually opening a link from the app that added some kind of in-browser app functionality or in-app browser functionality. So in theory, it shouldn't be too hard now to get the placards to at least to open. So one of those hurdles has been kind of handled. The other, unless there's any other questions about the most recent release in January, the December release was also pretty big, actually. It included some big relevancy updates. So I don't know if any of y'all, I'd be definitely curious to hear from y'all if you've noticed these especially as you're working on the desk or working with patrons. That these are actually some pretty big changes that should address actually some of the things that I noticed that we had on our Plus Delta activity from November. So essentially, the really short version of this is that these relevancy updates should make it make exact title matches for keyword searches and title searches show up a little more consistently. Every so often we get titles that, you know, you type in the exact title and it wouldn't necessarily show up very high in the results. So that's kind of the aim. So it's reducing some of the boosts for the series matches, and then also decreasing how much of a boost, or kind of capping how much of a boost that sort of popularity algorithm can provide. Has anyone had any changes to the relevancy, better, worse, same? I've now completely forgotten some of the example searches we were using. this. Well, keep an eye on those relevancy changes, especially as you're searching. If you're seeing better results, worse results, we should have some slightly better results, especially when you've got a title match. And then we also had some LEDA updates. These were right before we officially went live to patrons. So they include things like our app logo got updated. Then a few like kind of minor things for linked accounts. So I don't know if anyone really noticed those. And then the Palettes project integration. None of our libraries are using Palettes project. We highlighted in our release notes though, because I think it might be something that our libraries are interested in maybe over time. There was some interest in it at the e-resource advisory meeting when that group last met, but it's a nonprofit ebook platform. I think has a lot of potential. And for any of you that ever looked at Simply E, which was a project out of the New York Public Library to essentially bring in multiple e-resource vendors into one platform. It included I think it still includes just Overdrive, Access 360, maybe a couple others. The big one that they had not managed to get in there was Hoopla, and I think that might be the same for the Palettes project. But the Palettes project basically kind of took that open source project, developed their platform, and they also have a nonprofit marketplace attached to that. So if you do end up looking into Palettes project for your library, that is an integration that will be also available for Aspen. Michelle says she's super curious about the Palettes project. Yeah, I can send y'all, I think y'all a link in here. Yeah. Pop that link in the chat. Yeah, we've had our eye on it for a while. It's a really cool idea. And I think they've been like slowly rolling out with a couple libraries. So I think they're maybe starting to expand that now. So it might be worth looking into to all of you involved. All right, so that those are the past two. Excuse me, I've got a little cold that I'm fighting off here. Those are the past two releases. So let's look at our 2024 priorities. So this is the Plus Delta activity that we did last time we met. And just as a recap, the plus is things that I like about Aspen currently, the things that it's doing well. And then the delta is things I would like to change. And we kind of like, we're, I believe, up against the clock on this one. So I just sort of pulled out some notes on things that we like in Aspen, or the Masquerade mode got a lot of shout outs, e-content placards, the ability to build the browse category spotlights as kind of readers advisory tools, and then also record grouping seem to be all things that we really like. So maybe things that we improve on, or but definitely are gonna get rid of for sure. And then in the delta, the things that priorities, definitely looks like we want some better list control. So the big one we've talked about is the better drag and drop functionality for lists. So hoping we can get that one raised up the flagpole. That's a pretty straightforward request there. Are there other list enhancements we would like to see? Other than the drag and drop functionality to order the list. Sounds like that's a big one. You can feel if you don't have a mic, feel free to put anything in the chat here. Also, it looks like improvements to masquerade mode, and this one also is pretty straightforward. Being able to, if I'm in a search here and I go to masquerade, so I can place hold for this patron, it's gonna dump me out into their account. Masquerading as a test patron here. And then I've got to do my search again to to place those holds. So I know that's like, this is a pretty straightforward but annoying thing that happens when you enter that masquerade mode. So that would be really nice to get that addressed. I also have DVD Blu-ray combo pack improvements. This is one I think I need a little more information about what y'all would like to see. The DVD Blu-ray combo display confusing patrons and some staff also. Oh, Kelly says it no longer keeps your search in the search bar. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to throw that in as a request as well. Anyone? There was also someone that noted better record display for movie variations, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K combo. And maybe it would help to bring up oops. I just know this is one that has a lot of versions. So let's see if that. Yeah, what we're is there anyone that listed that in the last meeting or has some that had? Anything? Okay. What do we think? Is that one we want to? And we'll definitely need a little more information to pursue that, and I'm not totally sure what we want to see. Does anyone have any ideas? Going once, going twice. Okay.
Michelle brought up a good idea in the chat.
Okay. Oh, in the chat, here we go. That view seems pretty clear to me. Is it possible that items are getting attached to the wrong format? That can happen maybe sometimes.
I just don't know why else it would be confusing because I think it looks pretty clear. So if people are getting the wrong thing, then that would be confusing.
Yeah. I think, oops, in my masquerade. Oh, and it took me out again. I had a couple of conversations with Downers Grove last year about some hold behavior, and some of that might have been specific to their library because they only purchase combo packs. And but we ended up changing the label, I think, because the label was just like combo, and their users would not necessarily, they kind of just place a hold on whatever the format was first and not necessarily pay attention to whatever the first format was, or they just place a hold on Blu-ray instead of Blu-ray DVD combo. So I think we ended up changing that label, if my memory is correct, to be Blu-ray DVD combo. So it was a little more obvious that both of those formats were in there. And we kind of talked through like some different holds logic for if, you know, if you place a hold on a Blu-ray and it's not available, or placing a hold on the combo pack instead of just the Blu-ray somehow with some logic, but it got really, really messy and complicated really fast. It just didn't seem like that was going to be a possible solution. So yeah, I'm not sure. We might have to keep an eye on that one, see if the person that listed that is in a future meeting. That one I wasn't too sure on. So I'll just make a note. Maybe. Still not sure. There was a couple relevancy things that I'm curious if these were addressed in this past release already, actually. There was some comments about search results weighting oddly. Keyword search for exact title ends up low in results. And also the Pride and Prejudice first result in so many unrelated searches. With some of those relevancy changes, it should be, those should be better. But if not, then we can definitely come back and look at these. So another one, search rankings seem off sometimes for keyword versus title searches. On the Blu-ray DVD topic, Michelle says another possibility is on order records being different from how the items are cataloged.
Like when we order a combo pack, we split them
Mhm.
up. But if they're showing up in Aspen as a combo pack, that could confuse people. I don't have an example though. I'm not sure if that's actually happening.
Yeah, and they would show up like for another library if they're keeping the combo pack together. Jen says they've had a few coworkers who are still complaining about the relevancy, not 100% sure on specifics, but can check in. Yeah, getting any specifics, any specific searches is super great. So helpful. Honestly, like send me your tickets. I love the tickets with the search examples. It's my favorite thing to do. Dig into all of the weird search relevancy things. And certainly it's like a balance, you know, sometimes there's like, you know, you gotta make sure you're not making searches worse in the quest to make this one little specific problem better. But definitely, I know we sent in a whole bunch of good examples and got some of those relevancy changes made. So send your tickets in. Yeah, so we can circle back to the relevancy thing, or if there's some more kind of more specific ones. And then addressing abridgments and record groupings. I know I don't even see it on here. Here we go. Adjusting guidelines for record grouping, keeping an abridged version out of grouping, like in the night before Christmas, picture groups, book by Illustrator. That is on the development roadmap for Aspen. It has been actually for a little while. I know there are some challenges in identifying abridged versions. So I believe there's a working group that's working on, you know, looking at how we can, how Aspen can identify some of those abridged versions. Like one of the ideas just tossed out was if there's just a drastically different number of pages between a record, that's kind of one of the only ways to tell sometimes. So that's one of the challenges with abridgments, is just it is the information in there to note that it's an abridgment in the record. But that is definitely on the roadmap. And then a report for items without cover report for items without cover images. That's something that I think this group's requested, have on this list for a long time. So hopefully we can get that up the flagpole as well. And then I have one more here that was, I need a little more information, which was better database integration into Aspen. Is there anyone here that was that submitted that one what you were thinking about. Going once, going twice. Okay, I don't know about that one either. We'll have to ask about that. Maybe at a future meeting. Yeah, I think we've got some good priorities here to raise up the flagpole over the course of the next year. Any other final thoughts? Things we'd like to see development on in Aspen? All right. Well, with that, we are going to do another Plus Delta activity, but this time with Lita. So I'm gonna stop my share. Oh, and I just saw that Vicky posted a link in the chat. What was that?
It was for those who order combo packs, but split them up when they circulate.
Oh, okay.
So their acquisition staff, they can use that process right away as soon as they order and create those on order items then
Okay.
on the two separate bib records. And that should help so that your patrons end up with seeing that you have separate on order and not the combo pack.
Thank you, Vicky.
Mhm.
Well, cool. All right. So I am gonna open up a whiteboard here. I don't know why Zoom is taking a while to load here. All right, and does everyone see the whiteboard? I see a bunch of you on here. All right, I think people are on here. Do you wanna, so let's see, we're gonna, does everyone just want to, everyone add a, let's see. Everyone add a, something like a little post-it note thing. Here we go, sticky note. In, there we go. Everyone add a sticky note. Just so we're all familiar. And if you have any, Jen is not seeing the option to add a sticky note. Jen, do you see a little menu of tools on the left side?
No, I'm not seeing it either.
Oh. Okay, let me see what might be going on here. Permissions on for all participants. This is odd. I have not had this issue with the whiteboards before. It's oh, this viewer. Let's see. So sorry about this. Let me see. Are you able to do anything? Are you able to like make a squiggle? Is it just the sticky notes? Okay. What about now? Nothing? Oh, goodness. All right. So now that we have our board here, I'm not going to share the screen just since we're all in the board, but we can look at it, the finished product. I am going to have us start with, let's just put anything on the board. We're going to start with our plus activity. Drawing my plus there. So we'll take about, just take, I don't know, 3 minutes and add any and sticky notes with what you like about the Lita app currently. Just about to the end of our 3 minutes. It's gonna wrap up. All right. Time's up. Did everyone get like a little cute little ding? Okay. All right. So we are happy here with I think I see a couple mentions of the browse categories. The new this week list are more prominent. I think that's a browse category. You can customize the browse category. the similarity to the Aspen web, group records, available now, picture view on homepage might be related to, is that related to the browse categories, or is that just more like the kind of landscape versus portrait mode? Okay. Count setup, camera search. Oh, I'm glad y'all are having good experiences with the camera search, and all that stuff is like so device dependent. I'm always scared of it. You're gonna, that's the thing that's most likely to break on someone. Showing the formats of each before you click into them. The more section is cool. I think the more section is cool, and it's cooler now that you can add menu links, and I hope somebody does it so that we can see some more stuff. Easy to see hold, that is nice. Patron barcodes. All right. So we got a couple things we like here. All right. So now we're going to do the delta portion. So I'm gonna get out my handy dandy pin here. We're gonna draw a line and then draw my little triangle. And if any of you haven't used the Miro board before, you should see a little map icon at the bottom. And you know, I'll just share my screen really quickly because it might start getting no. There we go. Do you see my screen? No. Yes. Okay. Should we see it now? There's this little map icon. If you need to you can kind of move your view. You can zoom in and out as well if you need to like get to another piece on the board. I find that to be kind of a nice fast way. Or you can of course use the little arrow and hand motion. So now we're going to list all of the things that we would like to change about the Lita app. So these would be things to work on over the next months or years, who knows, depending on how big or small they are. And I'm going to give you, I'll also give you 3 minutes for this, and we'll see where we're at. If you still got, if the ideas are really flowing, we can extend the time.
So I just clicked into Zoom and I don't know how to click out of Zoom to get back to the internet, the Miro board.
Wait, let me stop sharing here, if that helps.
There we go. Yes.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We had our 3 minutes, but it seems like gonna get another minute or two. I saw some folks still typing, but if you're all done. I think we're maybe slowing down. You ready to chat? All right. Let's see what kind of themes we see here. We've got I think I see a couple things. I giggle at the I feel like the number one complaint we get is about the trivia or little loading facts that they don't change each time. So that is one thing that we have brought up. It just kind of makes me giggle. And then yeah, looks like these are related. See some things around loading time lag. So we got like kind of a long app time loading lag, some responsiveness. Something I need to make bigger to read it. Oh, okay, that one is a little different. We'll get to that one. I think I saw something else. Trouble loading cover images. So it sounds like there's some responsiveness, slowness loading kind of things to address. The logos on the library barcodes, yeah, for those linked accounts, that is something we've heard that folks would like to see the home library logo, or maybe just the name of the library. Let's see. Does not allow you to go into browse categories beyond the first one. Who wrote that one? And can you expand a little bit on that?
Yes, that was me. And so like every week we do all of these lists of new items and they're by category, but the only one it will ever show on the app is the first one in that whole range. So, which, I mean, we always have the adult fiction first, but so it only shows the adult fiction list. You'll never get adult nonfiction, DVDs, anything for kids. It's
That might be something with the configuration of that parent browse category.
yeah, and I
I
don't
will make a note. You don't have
okay.
to take it, but I think that's like that happened one at Oak Parks actually early on. I'll take a look and see. Yeah, I think that happens if there's some settings are off and like the parent category for some reason it will just show the parent instead of all of those subcategories. So we'll look at that and see what's going on there. Why it's not showing the subcategories. If anyone else has that problem, let me know. That's definitely fixable. Okay, and then let's look at what else we got. I see them miss the links to other nearby Swan libraries. That is also on already on the list to be able to find other library locations and within that. So you don't just because we also had that same kind of again, Oak Park, your multi-branches, test all the things. Yeah, you have to kind of pick your branch when you log in. And they wanted to see all three, and we kind of brought that up already with that. So I think they're looking at adding, the ad where you could like look at the other library locations. So I'm hoping that's something soon. Let's see. Lists aren't loading, doesn't show that it's saved when you've created a list. Oh, that sounds like maybe that's some kind of responsiveness or loading issue. I've not had that experience. Does anyone want to elaborate on that? Just issues with the lists popping up for you?
That was me. It shows in my account that I have 5 lists, but then when I click on lists, it says you have no list yet.
Oh,
And I did double check. I tried creating lists yesterday and it wasn't saving like the list name. And I checked on Aspen just now and it looks like it did actually do exactly what I wanted it to, but I didn't think it was working yesterday. And I can't access it from the app, only from the browser.
can you actually put in a ticket and include some screenshots? Because that's a weird bug. That sounds like I have not come across that yet.
Sure, I just noticed it.
Yeah, that would definitely be good to look at. Okay, we get a ticket in for that one. List ebook holds separate than print book item hold. Is that who put that in? Is that you want to see them separated out more in that initial screen?
Sorry, which one are we talking about?
The list ebook holds separate than print book item
Oh,
hold.
yes, that was mine. It's hard to tell when you have a hold. I don't like it. It tells me I have 5 holds, and I'm like, no, I don't. I only have 4 things on hold, but it counts the ebook holds. So I thought it might be better if they were like separated.
I see. So kind of like I said, the little number showed print versus e. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
I think that makes sense. And I will say, like on the web interface, I think it's a little more obvious because of I'm like looking at my phone and not sharing, but maybe I should bring up. I don't know if I have an account actually ready with both E and print hold actually. So let me just see real quick. What this look like. You bring up a test user. When you go into your holds, there's kind of the tabs across the top in your account. Yeah. And that might be it. There's the filters, but they're not quite as obvious. Let's see. So I have no holds in this account, and I'm in this one.
I didn't realize that was there.
No, but so this is in Aspen Discovery though. So you see like the tabs with the numbers, and in the app, those are filters. But the filter button isn't super obvious, so there might be some work there to do to kind of make that as obvious in the app as it is in the web version.
Well, now it's telling me I have 54 things on hold, and I definitely do not. When I go to the filter, it says filter by all, 56, filter by physical materials, 54, filter by Libby, 1.
Oh, But you don't have that many items on actually on hold or ready to
No,
pick?
I definitely only have 5 items total, ebooks and print books on hold.
Yeah, at the top of the screen, it seems to be combining all checkouts because I've got the same thing. It told me I had 5 things on hold.
Ah,
But at the top filter was actually showing me checkouts.
Okay.
It was showing checkouts and not holds
Right, to
as
start with.
for the counts. Oh. So in the filters, you're seeing a number that's counting your checkouts and not counting your holds. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, it starts out with filter by all pretty much. And it just kind of defaults to all of your holds and borrow categories, it looks like. But if you slip down into the other sections, does it give you better control? Now I'm in a strange menu. Hold on. Yeah, the titles on hold menu has filter by all,
Mm-hmm.
and it's listing everything that I have checked out and things that I have.
Can you also send a screenshot?
Mhm.
Of your, and that might be, that's really strange. Okay. That is a weird thing that I don't know if I would have found otherwise. Thank you. That's so odd. All right. Well, we found a bug. That's always exciting. Okay. We've also got, let's see. Difficult to start another search after the first, have to go back to the start page. I've also kind of experienced that. Like I sort of want the browse or the what am I saying? The search bar to be always available at the top, right? Like once you're in the search results, like you have to go, you don't have a search bar there, which is kind of weird. So that might be something to suggest. In portrait view under browse management, the text does not wrap the category names, cutting off the category names, maybe text wrap. All right. I don't think I realized that was happening. Who wrote that? And just out of curiosity, mainly I would like to know what library you were at. If you have long browse category names. Oh, I see. Actually, Oak Park. I've logged in as Oak Park and I see you've got some longer category names. So, okay. And Angeli, okay. Carol String, great. Thank you so much. That's a good observation. Because it does, especially with the subcategories, it includes like the parent category name and then the subcategory name. And if you have a really long one, it starts to get hard to tell which category is what. Let's see. Customize, browse, search more. I want more than the New York Times bestseller options. Can I create my own? Who wrote that one? Is that Carol Stream also? Okay. And do you mean the browse categories on the home page?
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking at your browse categories you have. It's very odd. So I see you've got a couple different browse categories on that homepage.
Yeah, there's usually like a dozen or so-ish
Yeah,
for
and I don't
each
see
week.
the yeah, I see the New York Times, but there's quite a few others. Are you just seeing the New York Times, Angeli? You may have to take a look at your home screen and see what's going on. because yeah, you do have other browse categories. So I'm not sure. But you can definitely create your own browse categories, and those show up on your Aspen web and on the Leda app as well. I'm looking through. Oh, can patrons create their own? Yes and no. That's actually something I sort of have on like my personal list. You can create shared searches, but currently you can only save those in Aspen. So I can just demo real quick here. You see my screen? There we go. I do turtles. I just need to know all the new books that libraries has. The library has about turtles. Could say added in the last month. Again, I probably should be on the Swan catalog this month. The best example, since I can't limit my library, but either way, I can still save a search. So I just go into search tools, save the search, and I'd save it. And then what would happen in the app, I would get a notice when I had new titles pop up in that search. Oops, I should go to my account, not the Aspen admin. Just do it by reflex now. And so I can see my my saved searches, and then you get like there'd be like a little flag in the app whenever you have new titles added to your saved search. You could also get a push notice for that if you ever get push notices. It doesn't save it to the home page though, so there's no except I'm lying. I'm totally lying to you. If your library enables there's a couple browse categories you can enable. And I don't know why I just thought about this right now. Is anyone using the browse categories that are custom, the saved searches or saved any of that stuff?
I think we have it on, but I haven't heard about it from anyone.
We actually have it in ours. So so you can see in this one catalog, so you can see I just saved that search on turtles. And it shows up, I've got it enabled, I've got saved searches enabled as the browse category, and I also have a list. So these would actually show up in Leda in the app as well as your in your browse categories if your library has those enabled. And the way that you do that is you go to Aspen Administration. I'm gonna look a little again. I have all the browse categories for all the libraries. It's kind of bonkers, but I'll just edit Addison's here without saving anything, just to show you where these are. This is actually a good question for the group, especially now that we are on Leda. And I'm just, apologies, my internet is really laggy right now. If I could just click this first one here. Oh, it's really, really, really slow to load all these categories. So a question I might have for the group while this is loading forever is, should Swan just enable these personalized browse categories for every library? So they would show on your catalog when you're logged in, like I just demonstrated on the web, and then they would show on Lita. And they're available for saved searches, your list, and there's one other category I have to see here. I know it's saved searches and your lists. System. Again, I have every browse category ever created in here. They're under system. I don't see the system. Maybe it must have changed names. Or under your, where are they? This is the bad thing about doing a live demo. I don't see your lists. Does anyone else see it? It's a lot easier when you're not in the full, the whole full list of everyone. Oh wait, it's right down here. I'm sorry, that's why they don't show up, because they're already enabled. Your lists and your saved searches. I thought there was one more. Oh, recommended for you is the other one. So the automatically generated recommendations from us. We don't have to decide now. It might be worth putting a little survey. What do we think about that? People want those enabled for them, but that would allow your patrons to have basically their own browse categories in the app. A couple comments. Yeah, Jen says, thinks that makes sense. So the browser and the app are similar. Lisa says also makes sense, might not be noticed by most, but power users would be happy. Yeah. So right now it's something you'd have to enable, and then frankly, it's like it's not horrible, but it's a tiny bit of a pain to set up. So it's something we could definitely do. Lisa asked, folks would use manage categories to turn on the view for their individual list. And actually, Lisa, those would be enabled automatically. If they're at the top of your browse categories list, like the first category was your lists, that's the first category you would see when you fire up the app. If you have it kind of towards the bottom, especially if you have apps just like, apps browse categories with a lot of subcategories, they might not see it unless they load all categories. So that would be another thing to sort of discuss, like, do we want some of those personalized browse categories to be at the top or at the bottom, or what would be best for folks? All right, I think we've mainly gone through the deltas. Anything else to discuss there? I think the big takeaway is just assembling these to send on to the Aspen developers. I think these are all really good suggestions. And then looking at some of your bugs, definitely reporting those, and then a survey for the personalized browse categories. All right. Back to our agenda, unless there's anything else with the leadership discussion. Going once, going twice. I posted I posted to the forums, excuse me. I posted to the forums the results of our A/B test. So that ran for a month, and thank you to everyone that participated. Just gonna actually go ahead and bring up that thread so we can look at the results that were posted there in case you didn't get a chance to look at them. So here are our results for our A/B test. Just as a reminder, we showed the, I'm looking for too many tabs. Looking for so in our Swan catalog, I've got this enabled. We pitted Synthetix Unbound against Novelist Select. And I'm so sorry, my internet is being very, very slow. You can see those suggestions in the slow. And I'll just bring up another catalog here. So you can see it in the same window. We pitted the Synthetix Unbound suggestions against the Novelist suggestions, which are what typically display in the catalog. And we saw that the Synthetix Unbound suggestions got a lot more interaction from patrons. So we were looking at really just like clicks on titles, seeing what, you know, what generated more interaction from patrons clicking on the suggested titles, authors, all of that good stuff. And so that's what that looks like here. And here's our old version. So obviously, I will also say we expanded the similar titles links. So it would be similar to the Novelist, they'd both be auto-expanded and people would hopefully find them more. So yeah. So it seems like probably we want to switch to using Synthetix Unbound for our enhanced content. Yeah, if people are using that more to explore the catalog, then that's what we want to offer them. The questions I have for this group are there's some things we could change. Or I should say customize about our Synthetix display. So any of these, well, for one thing, we could change this label, the Synthetix Unbound label, so that it would display something different, like suggestions, something like that. And then we can also choose what sections show up. So we could just display like you may also like, and that's it. If we wanted to, any of these sections, we can say that's, you know, all we want to display, or we don't want to display that. So if we didn't like the book profile, for example, we could choose not to display that. So we don't have a ton of time today to dig into this, but it's something I would like to think about. If there's any customizations we'd like to make to what sections show up in the catalog, and then talk to y'all about obviously getting this switched over. If there's any objections to just announcing a date and going ahead to switch to using the Synthetix Unbound as our enhanced content, or any concerns with doing that. Oh yeah, so really good question. Can you see where the most clicks were by section? And actually, no, we didn't track that. Any other thoughts, concerns? That would be interesting though to track. What we could do is turn it on for everyone and then see what if we're able to track stuff by section. I'm not 100% sure if we can set that up or not, but it may be possible.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to get rid of parts without knowing that maybe they were popular.
Yeah.
And what if we get rid of it and that was the part that people were clicking on?
Yeah. Yeah, so we could definitely look and see for some of these things like, are they looking at the full excerpt? Are they exploring any of these tags? Anything like that. All right. We'll find a date to turn that on for folks. And for the record, we still use Novelist Select for one thing in our catalog now, if we're not using it for enhanced content, which are the series pages. When you click into a series and you see all those titles listed in order, we are relying on Novelist for that. So we're going to leave that enabled for now. Our contract ends in 2025, so we've got a little time to figure out in terms of contract renewals and all that kind of thing. But we'll also be looking at the series sorting and anything that could be done there. Maybe not rely on Latin Novelist, or could it use Syndetics? What are the possibilities there? Right. And then, yeah, the last thing on our agenda was the just an update on the database usage research project. I know unfortunately it looks like Roselle, Lisa, you weren't able to get the A/B testing software working on your website, which your website's weird. I don't know why. We both looked at it and couldn't get it going. And then Ashley at Oak Park is looking at getting that test going when they've completed some homepage updates to their website. So looking at some stuff to hopefully give y'all suggestions on how you may improve those database pages on your website. And then on the Swan end, I just wanted to check back in and see if there's still interest in looking at ways to improve placard usage in Aspen and trying to get anyone to volunteer for essentially playing around with your placards, seeing if we can get more traction from some of those placards and find some strategies there. You don't have to volunteer now, but I'm going to put up a call in the forums for some volunteers, and we'll look at a little more at placard usage. Anything else before we break today? Any other topics you'll have to bring up? Oh my gosh, Vicky just messages me that I did not talk about self-check and self-registration. Just totally skipped over that agenda item. There's really not a lot there to discuss. We are looking at self-check through the app. We're currently, we're the first Symphony library to use it, so we're currently just working through some of the technical stuff of just getting it to check out to our ILS. But once that's done, we've got a couple volunteers, some of them are in this group, to do some work with that, to pilot the self-check and get that going at your libraries. So we're excited to do that once, I think we're getting really close on figuring out some of the Symphony technical stuff. And then self-registration, also getting close. There's still a couple more enhancements we're waiting on. But once those are done, then we should be able to use Aspen for the online patron registration as well. Any questions about that? Any other topics for today? All right. Well, if that's it, then I will got some stuff to post in the forums, and otherwise I'll see y'all in March. Great. Thanks, everyone.